You will never see the light of day as a free man ever again.
We saw it all when Chamoy Thipyaso was given a sentence worth 141,078 years for being involved in a pyramid scheme that defrauded more than 16,000 Thais. But since her sentence, there's no other that comes anywhere close to this. However, there are still quite a number of sentences that will definitely surprise you. 5. Naoki Bull. At the age of 23, Naoki Bull has been sentenced to spend 20 to 70 years in the Department of Corrections after pleading guilty to second-degree homicide for the passing of Marcus Olmsted. In December 2018, Bull drove to Olmsted's home and shot him with a crossbow bolt, leading to Olmsted's death. The case has been in the court system for 32 months, and Bull entered a guilty plea on the lesser charge of second-degree homicide after consulting with the Olmsted family, providing them with certainty of a conviction and a chance to heal. During the sentencing hearing, Robert Olmsted, Marcus' father, emotionally described the night his son passed away, expressing the lasting impact of the tragic event on their family. Bull also addressed the court, apologizing to the Olmsted family for his actions and expressing remorse. Muskegon County Circuit Judge Annette Smedley imposed a 20 to 70-year sentence, making Bull eligible for parole consideration at the age of 40. The sentence comes with 973 days of credit for the time Bull has spent in the Muskegon County Jail. The guilty plea and the severity of the crime led to a substantial prison sentence for Bull's actions that took the life of Marcus Olmsted, a young man with a promising future ahead of him. 4. James Holmes. An American mass shooter, James Egan Holmes, is known for the 2012 Aurora, Colorado shooting, where he claimed the lives of 12 people and injured 70 others at a movie theater. He had no prior criminal record before the shooting. Holmes booby-trapped his apartment with explosives before the shooting, which was later defused. After his arrest, he entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity, and his trial began in April 2015. On August 26, 2015, Judge Carlos A. Samwer sentenced Holmes to 12 consecutive life sentences, plus 3,318 years without parole, as the jury spared him the death penalty by a single vote. The judge emphasized that Holmes would never set foot in a free society again, ensuring that he would spend the rest of his life behind bars. The sentencing reflects the severity of the crimes committed and the lasting impact on the victims and their families, while also recognizing the need to prevent any chance of Holmes being released back into society. 3. Scott Kology. Scott Kology, a New Jersey man, was sentenced to 150 years in prison after being convicted of 4 counts of first-degree homicide for the New Year's Eve massacre in 2017. He took the lives of his mother, father, sister, and a companion of his grandfather's in their Long Branch house. The shooting involved 14 rounds from a semi-automatic rifle, leaving immeasurable harm to the victims' loved ones. Monmouth County Assistant Prosecutor Sean Brennan described the acts as evil, stating that Kology knew exactly what he was doing and took their lives because he could and wanted to. The judge emphasized the magnitude of the crime and ruled that Kology would not be eligible for parole until 127 years and 6 months into his sentence, effectively ensuring that he would never be released. During the trial, Kology's defense attorney argued that he was mentally ill, seeking a sentence of only 30 years, but the court found him guilty of the crimes committed. Kology's mental state was a focal point during the trial, but he was ultimately convicted. Despite the mental illness defense, the court held him accountable for his actions, deeming him responsible for the cold-blooded crimes. 2. San Antonio man sentenced to 50 years. Zion Talavera, a 22-year-old man from San Antonio, was involved in a string of aggravated robberies in 2019, during which he and another man severely injured 58-year-old store owner Jamunu Gumara Shilaj. The victim fought for his life in the hospital for over 500 days, but tragically succumbed to his injuries. The incident led to the loss of everything for the victim's common-law wife, Linda Lopes, who spoke in court about the devastating impact on their life. Talavera, who was 18 at the time of the crimes, faced capital homicide charges following the victim's death. However, he reached a plea deal and was sentenced to 50 years in prison for the lesser charge of homicide. He had previously received a 20-year sentence for aggravated robbery, and both sentences will run concurrently. Additionally, Talavera will be required to pay over $2 million in restitution. Talavera must serve half of his sentence before being eligible for parole. His co-defendant, Armando Narvaez, also took a plea deal in the case and was scheduled to be sentenced on October 13. The plea deal allowed the case to conclude without going to trial, sparing the victim's family the emotional toll of a lengthy court process. 1. Nicholas Cruz. Born on September 24, Nicholas Cruz, 1998, experienced a troubled upbringing with a violent felon and substance-addicted mother. He was put in an orphanage and later adopted by Roger and Linda Cruz, who both passed away, leaving him orphaned. Before the shooting, he lived with relatives and friends. Cruz was a member of the Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps and had received academic awards. However, he exhibited anger management issues and made disturbing remarks about guns and violence. In the tragic incident, Cruz injured and claimed the lives of multiple people at his former school. He pleaded guilty to all charges and apologized for his crimes. The prosecution sought the death penalty, leading to a lengthy trial that eventually began in July 2022. A jury found him eligible for the death penalty, but couldn't agree on its imposition, resulting in a recommendation for life imprisonment without parole. On November 2, 2022, in accordance with Florida law and the jury's recommendation, Cruz was sentenced to life without parole. This decision was reached after the death penalty recommendation was not imposed, partly due to a bill signed by Governor DeSantis that altered the requirement for the death penalty. The trial faced delays, including those caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, and ultimately resulted in a life sentence for the heinous crimes committed by Cruz. I could go on and on about more of these insane sentences, but that will be all for today's News Ever in 2022. Which one of them did you find the most shocking? Let us know in the comments section. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now. See you next time.